name is Dianne Firth, and I live in Australia. And Australia is a very large continent. And apart from the coastal fringe, most of Australia is semi-desert or desert. And so when the call came out for Primal Forces for Earth, it immediately brought to mind the deserts. And so I wanted to create a work that really captured this sense of the Australian desert. And so the piece that I made, it's this piece behind me. It's relatively small. It's 30 inches by 32 inches. And I'll tell you later why I had to pick that size. It's the materials that I'm using. And it really was inspired by this particular desert called the Simpson Desert, which is this wonderful sort of orange-red sand with striations across it. And so that's the piece that I entered, and I just loved making it. I'm a landscape architect, and it really spoke to the essence of what I need to think about when I'm creating landscape works. You always start with the land, with the earth. And so this is across the desert. This is a piece of felt, a whole piece of felt. And it's viscose felt, that's a cellulose-based felt. And the width of it is 90 centimetres or 35 inches. So the maximum I could make this with a whole piece of felt was 35 inches. However, I colour my felt. So I start with an off-white felt, a cream felt, and then I colour it in a bath of acrylic paint wash. So it's a thin wash of acrylic paint. And I'll just show you here, I've done some samples to show you. So if you can see here, so there's the cream felt, and then I dip it in the dye bath, right? And it comes up different colors that I can add more color if I want, but I wanted a paler color here. So that's the finished one. I added more water to get at that. But when I lay it flat to dry, it shrinks. And therefore my 35 inches went back to about 33 inches. And then it's not straight edges. And I had to actually be very careful that I had this fitting within the dimensions required for the exhibition. So that's the first thing, getting the background felt. And I had, the next step is actually how I get the strips, these cotton strips here. I've been sewing for years and years and years, and I don't like throwing out good fabric. And therefore, I tear it into strips if it's cotton. If I've got larger bits, I cut it into squares, 8-inch squares, 4-inch squares. But here is an example. I color code them. So this was my box of orange and browns. And so it was really a matter of going through these groups, these bundles, and pulling out a tonal sweep that I could use on this this piece. So it goes from dark here through to pale here at the bottom. And it has to, you get to a stage as you're going through this tonal progression where you can actually lose pieces. So you have to do this sort of jump between darks and lights, and it's always exciting. I love going through that process. It's totally unexpected, and you have to lay the pieces out. So I generally start with this sort of doing a tonal range and then putting pieces in between and taking out what doesn't work once I lay it on the background. It's very difficult to actually know if it's working. And then sometimes if I can't get the piece I want, I'll dye the cotton to get the color I want, or I'll actually mark it. So I don't know if you can see there, I use pen sometimes to put marks on it. So I've spent a lot of time actually getting this tonal gradation across the work. And I haven't actually shown you how I got to that process of doing it this way. This was the third option of laying out the strips, but I knew I wanted to apply these torn strips onto the felt background. So once I've got to this stage, I then layer the background felt. It has wool batting, wool polyester batting. It has a cotton background, back of quilt. And then I tack on these and audit it and check I'm happy with it. And then it's straight to the sewing machine to stitch everything down. So the stitching goes, the applied strips here, it goes right through to the back. I don't think that's showing up particularly well, but it gives a solidity and a feel, a firm feel to the work, but it still has the drape. These are some images of the Simpson Desert. So the first one there shows you the striation across the red sand. And so my first concept was a little sketch here like this. And then here's another image that shows some of the wind-blown sand dunes, and you see the curve across here. And so this little one here looked at the possibility of doing curves. You see the color gradation here that gives that three-dimensional sense. So when I decided finally on this as the way I would approach it, I needed to have the visual device of distance. And so this here is actually an attempt to give that sense that you're in space. So it's a graphic device. I have within my bundles of pieces, some are wider and some are narrower. And I often don't know what best suits till I start laying them out. So it's during the laying out of these strips that things can change dramatically. And I might change the curve from left to right or upside down. I'll often turn the piece around to see if it's doing what I want it to do. No, it's not predetermined. So sometimes a particular hue, a color, just won't work. You know, I think at the beginning, you know, this is a key piece of fabric, and then it's not. So this is the fun bit. This is the bit I really love. Yeah.